Hi, I'm Judy Borger, author of the Skeeter Hughes mystery series. This is my dog, Honey. Sometimes people ask me why I write mysteries. Well, to understand that, you need a little background on some of the things I've done. When the St. Paul Pioneer Press refused to pay for my car, which was firebombed while I was covering a riot in North Minneapolis a few years ago, I decided it was time to get a new gig. Although I've been in journalism for almost 40 years, I'd never done fiction. So then the question becomes, what kind of fiction? Well, that was actually pretty easy for me to decide because I have loved mysteries since I was a little girl. I used to read Trixie Belden, I read the Hardy Boys, I read Nancy Drew, I read everything there was for kids to read in mysteries back then. So the question for me then was, how am I going to write these mysteries and who can be my protagonist? Well, that was also pretty easy because you write what you know. So my protagonist, Skeeter Hughes, is, wait for it, a journalist, a mom, a wife, and someone who's always trying to balance all of those roles. I came up with the ideas for all 3 books, each of them in a different way. Where's Billy? I started before I had left the newspaper. And I was walking down the street in Minneapolis one day, and at the time there were several young men who had gone missing, and there were signs stapled to posts that had been put up there by their families, hoping that someone would find them. Then I got to thinking, wouldn't it be great to be a journalist whose job was to find missing people? Well, that was never going to happen. So I decided if I couldn't actually be a journalist doing that, I could make up a journalist who would do that. Pretty soon, the young man who was missing morphed into a young woman. And the next thing you know, I was writing about prostitution rings run out of the Mall of America in Bloomington. So that was Where's Billy? Whose Hand, my second book, is a story of a fisherman who pulls a hand out of Lake Harriet, which is one of Minneapolis's most beautiful lakes. Our intrepid reporter, Skeeter, has to figure out whose hand it is, and that's the solution to the mystery. My third one, Who Bombed the Train? The storyline on that one is someone blows up the light rail train on the first page, and Skeeter Hughes has to figure out who bombed the train. Now there's a twist in that one because her best friend, Rachel, who just happens to be the mayor of Minneapolis, is on that train when it's blown up. So Skeeter has not only a professional need to know who bombed the train, but a deeply personal one. The majority of readers of my books are women over 40. And there's kind of a reason for that. When I was a mom running a big house and I had 3 kids and I was working full time, one of my guilty pleasures was to get into bed with a Sue Grafton book and promise myself that I would only read it until midnight or 1 o'clock. And the next thing I knew, it was 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and I was still reading. When I write my books, they are written for the reader who is me. Also, the majority of people who buy mysteries tend to be women. But I've also found, quite by surprise, that gay men seem to be very interested in the series. And I'm delighted with that. Sometimes people ask me what I want readers to get out of my books. First, I want them to enjoy them. I want them to laugh in certain parts. I want them to gasp in surprise. I want them to be glued to the page, wondering what's going to happen next. Thanks for spending time with me.